Why should reciprocity be the thing on which every relationship is built? Well, if you think about it, alright, reciprocity means that a relationship is equal give and take. Now, I had this conversation today, and I mean, it's quite interesting how people get used to unbalanced relationships. And when a balanced one comes along, they're like, huh? What is this? What is going on? I mean, that's the minimum of how things should work. There should be open communication, and there should be equal give and take. Now, equal give and take does not mean that every single party has to do exactly the same thing. No, you do the equivalent, right? So you do what you can, and they do the equivalent of what they can, and they work to their strength, and you work to your strengths, and you make a whole, because not everyone can bring everything to the table. So what do? They bring their part to the equation, and hopefully together they can make a whole, right? That, at least that's my way of thinking about it. And also, have you ever heard the saying, teamwork makes the dream work? Yes, teamwork does make the dream work. So the reason why reciprocity is important in this sentence is because for there to be teamwork, there needs to be equal give and take, but in the sense of every party needs to do their share. So some people will work more on one project than another, but in another project they will work more than the other. So it's about completing each other's tasks so that you can work at it together. Hence reciprocity. Hence teamwork makes the dream work. To work as a team. And I say this from experience because I wasn't the best teammate in university at times. I didn't completely understand all of it. In some cases, communication was not up to par. I take responsibility on that. Sometimes I didn't fulfill my part. I also take responsibility on that. I'm fully aware I was not necessarily in the best headspace for all my teamwork in university. So, I mean, I'm not perfect, but it is these kind of half completed tasks that teach you lessons that you are able to derive lessons from and then use later on in your life, right? Another point that came up in my Instagram short was the idea of a mastermind, where two or more minds gather, an extra mind is created. So if you're working on a project at two, you don't just have two minds, you have a third mind, the mind of the project, right? That comes into the equation. So the idea with this is, what will happen is that not only do you have the people's minds that are working on it, but the project will gain its own thought, its own mind, its own it'll become its own creation, yes, so its own entity. And if you let it, a lot of ideas will be running around in your mind. Okay, so that's what I have to say. Yes, awesome. Also, the reason why reciprocity should be the basis on which every relationship is built is because doing everything by yourself is not easy. Okay, my neighbors operate differently. Okay, they are a Muslim couple, and it's perfectly fine. If it works for them, it works for them. I was raised differently. So, like, I remember I spent a summer in Armenia, and my aunt, well, actually, she said this when she was back here in Canada visiting us. And she told my sister and my mom and me, and I, that she does not always ask her husband to help. If she can do it, why bother him, right? So it should be an equal give and take, because he constantly works at his office. He owns a company, and so what? And his job allows her to be a stay-at-home mom. So it is her. She took it upon herself to make sure that everything in the household was taken care of, because that's her domain. His domain is at his office, right? So it also depends on what you put more importance on in the relationship. So, as I said, reciprocity. And I was talking about this in the beginning, right? So some individuals will work more on one project than the other, and vice versa, which is what I was talking about. So, is there a relationship that you would like to bring in more reciprocity in? Let me know.